lunch break. So glad you tuned in with us today. Hey, we're kind of an exciting moment. I'm here with my friend Trever Martinusen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of exes, like not wives, but I mean professions. Retired from the Bakersfield City Police, Bakersfield City Fire Department as the deputy chief, right?
Yeah, exactly. So retired about 1 year ago from the Bakersfield Fire Department.
Right on. I love that, Trevor. It's always been fun to be around you and be part of what you're doing. And today with us, we have our friend Reed Lovan. Lovan. Oh, I can figure that one out. I always have a problem with names. I know my producer, Mike Harvey's back there, and he's smiling right now because he always knows I do. But we're glad you joined us because we're kind of celebrating something. We have hit the 20,000 follower mark. So we're really excited about that. It's one of those things, and we've done it within a year, right, producer Mike Harvey? Yep. Yeah, we started out in June last year, and I remember having 252 followers. And so we're 11 months in, and you guys seem to like us, so you tune in. So we want to thank you, but we're unashamedly asking you to like us, subscribe. If you want to ask any questions today about our show or anything about us, you can go to our Facebook and just give us a question. Love to have it. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at The Real Lunch Break Show. Yeah. That's who we are. So there again, if you want to sign up for the email list, we actually have a lot of bonus stuff coming up now. So we're going to start in with our show today and just have a conversation. You know, Trevor's joining me and got some exciting things because Trevor is now the chapter director of Kern County chapter of 911 at Ease.
Yeah, so I shortly after retiring, I had the privilege to step in and start helping 911 at Ease, help support our local first responders.
You were telling us at one moment, because I'm a chaplain at 911 at Ease, you were telling us that they're kind of looking at the way you started the Kern County chapter as almost a model, right?
Yeah, so we were very fortunate. So when we started the Kern County chapter last January 2021, we actually had an amazing donation come from the Cassie Wright, the Family Foundation.
Amazing woman.
Which allowed Kern County to just hit the ground running. We were able to build out our clinician team. And just real quick, so 911 at Ease, what we do is we provide free, confidential counseling for first responders and their families with vetted clinicians. And that's the important piece, with vetted clinicians that understand the value, the need, but also can understand and handle the stories, the situations, and their main goal is to help support our first responders and their families, keep them strong, keep them on the streets. And with that donation, we were able to hit the ground running, and we haven't stopped. Our numbers continue to increase. It's been an amazing program to be part of.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You and I started with the fire department, with the chaplain program.
Yeah.
You started over there. It's been about 7 years ago.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago with the Bakersfield Fire Department, we brought back the chaplain program that was so important. And Chief Galageza, when he made fire chief, that one of the most important parts for both himself and for me and now Deputy Chief Jimmy Cherry was, man, we wanted to bring God back into the department. When we started having our chaplain meetings at headquarters in the conference room, praying over the department, man, we really saw a change in our department. We saw a change with our members, and we just saw how important that was. That's what's been so awesome about 911 at Ease, is for me to continue to pray over our first responders, continue to try to make a difference in their lives and know how important it is. We want to keep all those families together and healthy and strong.
I love it. And today with Reed being here, Reed, you were part of you actually utilized the program, correct?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I'm a 17-year vet with the Kern County Sheriff's Office. Not with him anymore.
Retired?
Yeah, retired-ish. I'm not 50 years old yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you look young still.
Right. But after 17 years, God led me in a different direction, and I'm pursuing that now. And but over that period of time, I was a sergeant, and you could imagine the things that you experience, and there came a point in my life when it was glaringly obvious that I really needed help. Things just manifest in your personal life in a way that when you look in the mirror, you go, oh, what happened? And 911 at ease is so important because they provide this safe place that if you want help, you don't have to worry about it being used against you. The people that you're talking to are, when I say vetted, that's not even close to being descriptive enough. These people understand that when you tell them the horrors that you've witnessed and then had to go out and continue doing the job and then had to come home, you don't, with all due respect to all counselors everywhere trying to help people, sometimes those stories are so gruesome that the counselor needs counseling after you get done telling the story. And you know, these counselors that they've been able to put together, I guess they call them culturally competent, you know, but in reality, it's people that aren't going to shy away from what you dealt with and help you learn.
Did you know? And what I hear a lot, being a chaplain at the city fire department, is that sometimes it's not the immediate; it's the residual and the build up, maybe day after day or hour after hour.
You know, in a trauma-related profession, all first responders, whether it's ambulance, you know, or paramedics or nurses in the ER or on the COVID floor or cops or firemen, you know, it is a cumulative thing. You can't be in a trauma-based profession without becoming traumatized. You know, even driving down here today, I live up in an area called Glenville, a mountain community.
Kind of close, but kind of a little
Yeah.
more elevated,
Well-
more towards God's kingdom.
Right, and I was the closer, and it is God. It's beautiful up there. But as I was driving by, you know, my wife calls them spots because I was the resident deputy up there for a long time. And as coming down, you start to remember, oh, I cleaned up a body there, or there was a child molest there, or there was a fire there, or these people lost their home, or you know, and all of those things, even today, you have to be able to process. And again, that's what 911 at ease does, more than, you know, just, you know, bringing in you and talking and having a big pity party. They help you develop the skill set required for you to get back into the fight, to be the best version of yourself so that you can continue to serve. Because all of us first responders were servants. Our hearts are service oriented. And, you know, we need a job and we need to get back in there and we need to serve however we can.
And the community needs you too. You know, and I think that's the biggest thing. You know, as you're out there, I think it's easy to see a law enforcement car pass you, fire truck. Today I saw one go by and lights were gone. It was a county. They were rolling on something, and I've just always recognized it, and I just kind of pray for them as they go by. It's something I always try to do because I know there's real live men and women in there that are going to probably go and maybe see something that's going to cause them to have, you know, a little bit of trauma or take a piece of them.
Sure.
And if you're out there and you've got a son or a grandson or daughter or granddaughter, or maybe it's you, you know, there's the good thing is there's a place to get help.
Yeah. So one of the things that I always look back on, starting in the fire service 31 years ago, you didn't talk about this. You went to the calls, you sucked it up, you came back, you ran another call, and this was never discussed. We are so fortunate. There's so much now being directed towards the mental health piece and the piece of keeping our first responders strong. If you would have told me 5 years ago, or if you would have told me 3 years ago, that the numbers that we're seeing asking for help, one of the things that, so we started, I'll give you some quick numbers. So we started last January 2021 here in Kern County. And once we got up and rolling, had our clinician team put together, this last year we saw 140 first responders and their clinician, and first responders and their immediate families. I would have never thought those numbers were possible within a year. This year, just in the first quarter, January, February, March, we've been able to serve and help 99 first responders, almost 100 within just 3 months. So the program is here. The first responders are learning. They understand that we're here to support them. They can trust us. It's confidential. And man, if you would have told me 3 years ago that we would be able to serve that many people, I didn't think it would be possible. But now we're looking to the future. We know we're going to continue to build this program.
Well, look at the need.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor was talking about, and we talked about the confidentiality, because we are private people. Who wants to air their dirty laundry, right? We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be the ones fixing the problems. And when you start being the one being helped, that's a role reversal.
It is.
Also, the ease. When there's a term up on some cattle ranches, you ranch tough, you get tough or die. And that's kind of how first responders are, is, you don't talk, you suppress it, you repress it, whatever it is, but you get tough or die. Well, with 911 at ease, all you have to do is make a phone call or go onto the internet and put in, and someone calls you. And I have to talk from personal experience, but when I was at my moment and I reached out for help, I made one phone call. And within 24 hours, I was in an office getting help.
That's amazing, Trevor. Can we put the number up on the screen too?
Yeah, definitely put the number up, and we'd love for you to put the website to learn more about the program, 911 at ease.
No cost.
.org. Yeah, zero cost. This is all everything. So when we said it was free, and it is 100% free, but we do seek community support. So if you're looking to help support first responders, it's a great organization to partner with.
Yes. Well, we have guys like Reed who are able to keep their family, keep being a productive member of society, starting a nonprofit, doing something that even I think you've got a heart to want to give back. And I think that's the important thing. One of the things that impressed me when we did our first gathering last year was when the Bakersfield City SWAT person came up and talked about how the event with the deputy out in, I think, Delano or something, once they had that event, they were going to give a break to the county SWAT team. But 911 at ease was able to provide the counseling, and all those guys got back on the job.
Yeah. So talking about the campus incident. So following the campus incident, we definitely were there to support the Kern County Sheriff's Department. They did an amazing job. They have a really good peer support team. The Sheriff's Department has one of the best peer support teams that I've seen. But BPD was able to help support them. And then, of course, 911 at ease stepped in and said, hey, anything that you need, we also will help support. And I know that there has been a lot of members that from that agency that have seeked out help, and that's what the goal is. I love to tell people that this is a proactive approach. We want to support our first responders early in.
Yes.
We don't want it to get to such a point that they're worried about losing their job, or that the suicide is such a huge thing with first responders, and the numbers are definitely risen within that profession. So we look at it as hey, this is 911 at ease is here. Confidential, we keep talking about that. One of the greatest things that I love to share with people is when we, one of the parts of my position is that I get to interview and meet several, when I meet the clinician, it's about 3 interview steps. And when we sit down with a clinician, we let them know that we will never ask for any written documents. We will never ask for a diagnosis, and we will never ask you for that. And we don't want you to label these individuals. We just want you to help them, get them back on the streets, keep their families. Man, that's one of the things that I really have seen through this is if we can keep our family units strong and they have that support there, and they can come back from their shift and have a strong marriage. We've seen that is such a huge part of keeping our first responders out there for us.
I always think on how much hope that gives people. It's like, Reed, when you're at that spot, one of the things that I've been asked a lot about 911 at ease, and I think you've mentioned it, Trevor, is almost like it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
It's like free.
Yeah.
Well, what was your experience with that?
Well, to say too good to be true, we're skeptical by nature.
By nature.
And
audience may be skeptical, don't.
Right. But I'm going to give 2 examples. My personal experience was, whatever was going on, I reflected, and I'm a Christian guy. I am completely flawed.
Yeah.
Let's get that set straight. But at some point, things started to manifest themselves in my personal life that I was not presenting, which is a direct reflection of my walk with Christ. and I was not presenting myself as the person that I wanted to be. And so I had to get right. So I prayed on it, and I literally was led to a website. I picked up the phone. I left a message, and within a couple of hours, somebody was on the phone with me. Can I say her name? Yeah. Okay, so my counselor, Monica Peck.
Oh, I know Monica. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's part of the board.
Yeah.
Called me back herself and said, "Get in my office."
I love that.
And there was no paperwork. There was no, I just sat down and she said, "What's going on?" And I started laying it out. And it wasn't like, so tragic that, but I needed help. And she said, "Let's figure this out." And here it is, a year and a half, or almost, over a year and a half later. And like when I said developing that skill set, the other side of this is Philip Campus was killed in action or on duty July 25th of last year. And there are still his family and very close friends are still grieving, and 911 is a part of that. That being said, I know from people talking to me that on that horrible day, they called and said, "What can we do to help?" And while my coworkers, my brothers and sisters are out there on scene in the worst day of their life, before that scene was closed down, 911 entities had people in the field talking to people and helping them with grief. And that wasn't a request. That was just their desire to serve.
I love that, Trevor.
Yeah. No.
Good job.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And
It's a team.
This is a great example. So when we keep going back to that confidential piece, as a program manager here in Kern County for 911 at Ease, I know numbers as far as agencies, and that's so important that I can speak to the Sheriff's Department and say, "Hey, you know what? There's an uptick."
Yes.
And then they can look internally. But I don't know names or officers or rank. That has been so rewarding. I got to meet Reed through this, and Reed's kind of given me his story. I will have other people that I've worked with, either with the fire department or the police department, come up and ask me, "Hey, how do you like being part of 911 at Ease?" And I say, "Hey, it's been great. It's very rewarding." And I get these dialogue back that, "Hey, it saved our marriage." And when I'm starting to hear this now more and more about how people have used the program and the difference that it made in their, and first in their family life, and then in their career, I think is so important. And that's the rewarding part. Like I said, I met Reed after he utilized the services, and he's been very open about how much it's helped. And for us, that's good for me because that just keeps me more energized. We're ready to keep building this thing out, and we're just glad to be here.
Well, I love the fact that, as we talk a lot about faith on this show. I love the fact that you have faith in Christ, but you needed something to come in and to help you with this part of the trauma. And I think Christ, the Bible says that, we can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens us. And I think giving you the strength to make that phone call is as impactful as maybe just a miracle. Because say when she called you back, got you on the road, that's great. Monica's part of our church, so it's like, way to go, But as you look at those things, that's what you want to hear, because as you see the numbers, like you said, Trevor, that, and I think I remember Schindler's List when he was looking at his ring going, "I could have done more." I think that's what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to see these numbers, and we're almost 3 months in looking at, the numbers from last year. Yeah. But God, I love the fact that as you put together the fundraising efforts, that we've got a thing coming up this weekend, help carry the load, is that you can keep providing for this, because as there is no charge, there is no limit to the number of visits or the amount of service that they can get. And they'll see loved ones, which I think that's important, because it's not just the person going through it, it's the loved ones.
You're talking about loved ones, and 911 isn't just for the first responder themselves, it's for their immediate families also. And there's a quote from Jordan Peterson: "If you're not well sorted out, everyone around you will suffer."
Yes.
And greatly. Well, with the immediate family, they have to learn how to sort through what you're going through also. Whatever you lived through that day. And sometimes you come home and you tell your significant other or your kids, "I can't believe we're getting paid for this. This is the coolest thing in the world." And other days you're scratching your head and asking yourself why you went to work, or you can't believe you survived the day. And sometimes your significant others, your immediate family, the people that you surround your unit, they don't know how to respond to that. They don't know how to process it, much less help you process what you visited. And so I'll tell you right now that my wife has been in and, talked to Monica too about what I'm going through and what I'm doing. And now my wife works for the sheriff's office also. And so she's got her own stuff that she goes through.
And the thing is, and this is what I always, as an audience, you always say it's okay to reach out for help. Because I think as men, and if you're a man out there, we were brought up in a different area, right? I remember my dad, I don't know why my dad would say this, but I'd get hurt and he'd go rub some dirt on it. And I did it, and it did no good, but you did it, and that's what you thought you were supposed to do. Take care of it, however it seemed like you took care of it, and then move on.
Endure.
And that's a fallacy that I think a lot of us grew up with. I grew up in when I was growing up and I was in athletics, it was, you didn't share your emotions. And I remember one of the biggest things I wanted to do, and I always felt like screaming out, because I always talk about this. I'm a jock on the outside, a nerd on the inside. But I didn't want to. I wanted, one of the things I craved from my dad was affection, and it was up to me at one point in my walk to, to be the person that reached out to him for it. So I think as men, and I there again, as I have a wife and 2 daughters, I don't know what makes it happen for them, but as a man, you have to come to a point where it's like, this is either going to be it or I'm going to get some help. And so many people think that may be a weakness, but I think it's a strength.
One of the things that we really, when we work with our clinicians, and I loved hearing Reed talk about within 2 hours there was a clinician calling, and what we tell our clinicians is within less than 24 hours we want that contact, because for a first responder to pick up that phone and to reach out for help, we are past the point, and it can't be 3 days later, it can't be 4 days later, it needs to be like now, and and it doesn't have to be that first meeting. It just has to be that contact to say, hey, let's get something on the calendar. I'd love to talk to you and help you. And our clinicians, we have about 18 clinicians now.
Tell about how many you started with, and then where we're at now.
Yeah, so we started just like any new program. There was 3 or 4 that they brought on right off the bat. And what we did is we kind of watched the numbers, why it's so important. And as requests came in, we learned that we needed to get some clinicians that worked with kids. And then we also saw the numbers, 40% of the referrals coming in through 911 at Ease is marriage related. Mm-hmm. So we really shored up our marriage and family counselors. And then, like you said, we have the kids. We have our trauma specialists, and we've got a couple psychologists that are part of the team. So yeah, as we saw the numbers building, we built our clinician team around the needs and the requests.
Yeah, and if you're out there and you're thinking about getting in, there again, we'll have Trever Martinusen, who's the Kern County Chapter Director, and we'll have the number up here. You can call and maybe try to get on board. I know there's a process, but they'll try to get on board. And I think at our last meeting, Trever, something that really stood out to me is when Monica said they're going to reduce the rate. Didn't she say that?
So, yeah.
That impacted me. I never got a chance to go back to you and say that.
Yeah, so when we go and interview and meet clinicians and bring them onto the group, it is a reduced rate. We know what clinicians, if you just picked up the yellow pages, or I guess there's not yellow pages anymore, you went to the internet.
Shows our age.
Showing my age. If you went to the internet.
Gray hair doesn't do
right.
If you went to the internet and you found a clinician and you called and wanted to use your insurance, there's a high going rate. We go to our clinicians and say, hey, this is a community that needs help.
Yes.
This is an important part of our, this group is an important part of our community, and here's the rate that 911 at Ease pays per session. I've only had a couple, and it's fine, but I've only had a couple that says, no, that rate's not high enough. 90% of the clinicians that I talk to, they say we would love to help this group, and for whatever the reimbursement is. So yeah, the clinicians definitely see our first responders for a reduced rate, and the reason for that is it's all community funded. So if we can raise the money and see more first responders, so right now we say it costs about $125 per session, but that allows us to see a lot more. If we were paying that $300 rate, we would be helping less families and less first responders. So yeah, the clinicians definitely step up. They are committed to this community, the first responder group, and they provide an amazing service. We couldn't do what we do, and I tell them that all the time, is we wouldn't be who we are, we wouldn't be serving our first responders without our clinician team that is so vital.
You know, we do talk about it, but what comes in stays local.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps to take care of the people that are local, that are actually, going on the calls, reporting to a scene. So I think that's super valuable if you're out there to remember that. And I think it's impactful too to see some of the officers and the chiefs at the meetings.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great point. So 911 at Ease International, they're in, I believe that the nonprofit started in Santa Barbara, in about 8 states right now. The beautiful part is
trying to bring it to Tennessee, right?
Tennessee, yep, they're working on it. And the beautiful part is they run each program or each chapter separate.
Yes.
So in Kern County, we're out raising money, we're out getting community support, and all of that stays here locally for Kern County. That's what's so important. Is we want to. I understand the need throughout the nation, but my goal is to help our local, and we'll use the other campaign fundraising at the corporate level or the larger parent body. For us, we're taking donations here in Kern County, and it's staying in Kern County.
It is. Talk about the event this weekend.
Yeah, so
you talk about how the 911Es got actually involved.
Yeah, so there's a national nonprofit called Carry the Load, and they through the month of March, they go out and they bring awareness to first responders, and initially started with military. So it bring awareness to the military and first responders lost in the line of duty. Carry the Load, like I said, is a national campaign. 911 at Ease actually is now partnering with them, and we want to bring awareness. So we're going to do an event this Saturday, May 7th.
Beach Park.
At Beach Park. We're going to meet at, it's awesome too, because...
We're inviting everybody out.
Yeah, definitely. So this weekend at Beach Park, starting at, I believe it's 10 o'clock, 10 to 2, it's Law Enforcement Day at the park. So BPD, the Sheriff's Department, there's going to be a huge event, food trucks, there's going to be activities, things for the kids. So it's Law Enforcement Day at Beach Park, and we're going to start that event off with a 4-mile easy walk along the bike path. And the whole purpose of it is we're going to meet there at 8:45. We're going to pray over the families. We're going to bring awareness to our military. We already got some veterans coming out, and then also to our first responders. And we're gonna take a walk and think about campus and his family and what has been lost and what we can do to continue to. So really, this is just a way that 911 at Ease is partnering with another great nonprofit that's bringing awareness, and we're just going to go out and have a great day.
And so I think I was made aware that we're one of 5 nonprofits that will be benefiting from what they're doing in a large way.
Yeah, so this is a national campaign. There's actually there's 4 big buses, and they travel throughout the nation all through the month of March. So the bus, the Carry the Load bus caravan comes through on May 8th, which is Mother's Day Sunday. We figured a walk on Mother's Day probably wasn't the right choice.
Maybe after lunch, but no.
After brunch. So we thought, hey, let's do our walk on the 7th. And then, so Carry the Load has partnered with 5, I believe it's 5 nonprofits, and 911 at Ease is one of the nonprofits. And so what we're doing is in every state, in every county that we have a 911 at Ease chapter, we're pulling together and we're going to bring awareness and just kind of make that more. This isn't a 911 Addie's fundraiser. We'll have those coming up, but there's also other ways to give. This is just an awareness. We just want to bring people together and let them know what first responders, what the military go through, and what happens when we lose one, and we want to continue to remember them.
I like that. Reed, is there anything that you would like to say, or maybe a question that we didn't get to ask you that you'd like to jump in with?
You know, you're talking a lot about how people come to 911 or they come to the point where they ask for help. And it doesn't have to be so tragic that, you know, at the worst you might be contemplating something horrible. You know, it just has to be that you need help. And again, that humility, I guess, to recognize that you're just not getting through, or you might need a tune-up. 911 at Ease is so non-intrusive, but they help by supporting not just the individual first responder, but within law enforcement and fire, there's something called peer support. And historically, you and your beat partner get together and talk about what you just what went through, what's going on at home, what's going on with your kids, what's how the dog's doing, whatever it is. But you confide in your partners. Well, that peer support was formalized, and the people actually have an organization within the first responder organizations, where the sheriff's office or fire department, that are there to talk to if it's something a little more difficult. 911 at Ease facilitates meetings with the peer support groups from all of the different agencies. And at some point, even your beat partner that you've been through hell and back with isn't equipped to help you process. And at some point, they support peer support by saying, look, let's call somebody. And I've been a part of that. I can't tell you how many times in the last couple of years, before I left the sheriff's office, right, that people would come into my office and just sit and say, I need help, because of that peer support connection. And I still, to this day, have people coming to me that I'm able to direct to 911 because I have the skill set. I'm putting myself back together, but I can't put them. I can be there to love them. I can be there to support them. I can listen,
and point them to the right way.
And lead them, and I think that having someone is like a good old-fashioned altar call. If you have somebody that's willing to walk down that aisle with you, to get on their knees with you, that kind of gives you the strength.
And as the Bible tells us that God comforts us so we can comfort others.
Yeah.
So you have that ability now to say, hey, let me tell you, I can take you so far, but let me help you more by giving you another number that will take you the rest of the way. Yeah. And that, to me, that's what's impactful about you and what you do, Trever. I love being a part.
Yeah, you're a huge partner. It's awesome.
Well, I love being a part, but I also like letting the audiences know what is available. And Reed, thank you so much for what you've done.
I appreciate
it. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being part of our show. Trever, I always love being around you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you're going to be going to Spain, and you're going to be going for a 500-mile walk.
Yeah, so we're going to go, isn't that crazy?
4 miles on Saturday is not a lot compared.
Better have a couple pairs of shoes.
Yeah, so we leave on Monday. It's a Catholic pilgrimage, but it's called the Camino de Santiago. It's a spiritual pilgrimage. It's called the Way of St. James. You start in France and you walk all northern Spain. Man, I've really been kind of reflecting on it. We're going to be on the trail for 39 days. We're going to walk 34 and take 5 rest days. And now that it's getting so close, I really have been trying to think of, like, man, what am I hoping to get out of this? And I know that no matter what I say now, it's going to be something totally different. Mm-hmm. Everybody that I've talked to that has done this, the Camino de Santiago, they say that it was life-changing. Man, I really hope to strengthen my walk with the Lord by walking. I hope to spend some time in prayer.
Got your wife going?
Yeah, no, this is something I think my wife talked me into it.
I
said,
like
yeah.
that.
So it's something I'm going to share we're going to share together, and man, we're going to come out stronger and better for it. So there's going to be those times. I'm sure they always say that there's there's the physical piece of it, the beginning, just getting your feet used to it. And we've been walking a lot. We're walking.
Getting ready.
We're walking 30, 35 miles a week right now, just training for it. But they said there's a physical piece. You'll get into the mental piece, just trying to drone on. And then it's the spiritual, the reflective piece. So I'm excited. You know what? Bring me on after I get back.
I would like to.
Love to talk about, God willing, that we get this thing done and we complete it. And I'd love to share.
Want to hear about it?
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. We had Joe Peterson on last week. Won Race Across America 17 times.
He's amazing.
And I can't imagine going 3,000 miles across America. I can't imagine walking 500 miles either. Yeah. I just wasn't ever built for that. I was built for other things. So I'm glad to have you guys on. And Reed, you want to help us out? Because we also like to give a shout out to Lucky's Rescue. John and Meredith do a great thing out at 3J's Ranch. And they actually have some animals that are available for you to adopt. They have horses, they have dogs, they have cats, and they have chickens. And I think Reed was going to talk about.
Yeah, so I don't know if they can see it, but this is Bonnie.
Yep, we'll put a picture of Bonnie up there.
Yeah, Bonnie's a gorgeous 6-year-old Husky Shepherd mix. She was surrendered with Clyde, her companion, by her owners due to an unfortunate circumstance beyond their control. Bonnie's a super sweet lady who loves to talk. She loves attention and wants to be near people all the time. A good exercise regimen will probably ensure she has mental and physical, or being physically stimulated, and won't go out looking off for her own adventures. So maybe she's done that in the past. But also, the adopter probably should have a good knowledge of this breed and kind of their tendencies.
I like that. Reed sounds like a professional radio or podcast. I'd like to bring you on and talk about your nonprofit. You want to give it a shout out real
Well,
quick?
it's actually not a nonprofit. It is a corporation,
okay.
but it's Blue Line Solutions.
I love that.
And our space is bridging the gap between victims and law enforcement. We're calling it a liaison services because we have a group of retired law enforcement officers that still are service oriented, that just want to help people and helping cops. You know, you go out there and cops from one side, you know, are so overworked and they're just trying to get to the calls. And from the other side, people are, you know, maybe they're emotional, but maybe they take some abuse from the public too on occasion. If you watch the news.
They're human.
They're human any day. And so they're stuck in the middle a lot. And we do private investigations and some security stuff, but we really are there to just bridge that gap to help. You know,
like that.
yeah.
Well, if we could, we'll get your information and kind of put it up too, make it available. So we're glad you tuned in. Hope you got something out of this. If you want to give us any questions, go to our Facebook or Instagram. There again, I want to thank Trever and Reed for just showing up and being part of today's show. And I look forward to our 4-mile walk.
4-mile walk.
On Saturday. We'd love for you guys to join us out there, Beach Park, 8:45 for the walk part.
8:45 and start walking at 9, and we'll finish up. Reed will be out there. We're going to finish up, and then we'll enjoy a little bit of time with all of our law enforcement. Just thank them for what they do for our community.
Are they bringing the dogs out to do a little?
Yeah, I'm sure the K9 demonstrations will be there, which will be awesome.
Those are always fun.
They're not bringing Bonnie.
No, Bonnie won't be there. Thank you guys for tuning in.